Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that constantly pushes us to do more, be more, and achieve more. From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with messages telling us that we are not enough unless we're pushing harder, climbing higher, and never settling for less. But here's the truth we don't often hear. You are already enough. You see, there's a dangerous trap many of us fall into, the trap of being an insecure overachiever. You might know it well. It's that feeling that no matter how much you accomplish, no matter how many goals you smash, there's always a voice inside that says, it's not enough. You need to do more. You're not worthy unless you keep achieving. Insecurity is a deeply ingrained emotional state that many individuals experience, often without fully understanding where it comes from or how it manifests. At its core, insecurity arises from fear. Fear of being judged, fear of not being enough, or fear of failure. It's a fear that can create an underlying sense of unease, even when everything on the surface appears to be fine. Insecurity often grows from the belief that our worth is dependent on external validation, whether that comes from other people's opinions, accomplishments, or societal standards. When we tie our sense of value to these external sources, we unknowingly place ourselves in a perpetual cycle of self-doubt. The roots of insecurity often trace back to our early experiences, our upbringing, our relationships, and the messages we absorb from the world around us. From childhood, we are taught to perform, to succeed, and to be accepted. If we are praised for our achievements or criticized for our failures, it set the stage for the belief that our worth is conditional. Many people carry these messages into adulthood without realizing how much they affect their self-esteem. The truth is, insecurity is not about what we lack externally, but rather it's a reflection of what we believe about ourselves internally. As adults, we may find ourselves seeking out constant approval from others or attempting to prove our worth through work, success, or accomplishments. The overachiever often masks their insecurity behind a relentless drive to do more, to be better, and to accumulate validation. The problem is that this drive, while it might lead to tangible results, never truly alleviates the internal void. In fact, the more someone achieves without addressing their insecurity, the deeper they sink into a place of needing more. Success becomes a fleeting moment of relief, and soon enough, the cycle starts again. Insecurity often presents itself in the form of constant comparison. When we look at others, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that they are somehow better, smarter, or more successful. This comparison breeds feelings of inadequacy. Social media and the constant display of other people's successes exacerbate this mindset, creating an illusion that everyone else is living their best life while we're struggling to keep up. We see others' highlights and internalize the message that we are falling behind, feeding our insecurity even more. But the reality is that no one's life is as perfect as it appears through the lens of social media. Everyone has their own battles, their own struggles, and their own journey of growth. This kind of insecurity doesn't just show up in our careers or our personal lives, it also seeps into our relationships. Many times, insecurity manifests as the fear of not being loved or accepted for who we truly are. We feel like we need to perform or meet certain expectations to earn affection and respect. This fear can lead to anxiety and even prevent us from being fully authentic in our interactions with others. Insecure individuals may also overcompensate by becoming people pleasers, afraid of upsetting others because they equate others' happiness with their own sense of worth. Insecurity is a silent force that holds us back from living fully and authentically. The truth is, we all have moments of doubt, but it's important to understand that insecurity does not define us. It's merely a voice in our heads that we have the power to challenge. To truly overcome insecurity, we must first acknowledge it, accept it, and begin to reframe our mindset. The journey towards self-assurance is about learning to separate our sense of self-worth from external factors and embracing the understanding that we are enough exactly as we are. The overachiever's trap is a cycle that many high achievers unknowingly fall into. driven by the belief that their value is determined by their success and accomplishments. It's a mindset that pushes individuals to work harder, strive further, and accumulate more, believing that each milestone or victory will bring the ultimate sense of fulfillment. But the truth is that this constant drive to perform and prove one's worth often leads to burnout, frustration, and an empty sense of accomplishment. The trap isn't about the desire to succeed. It's about the belief that success is the only thing that defines us. Overachievers often fall into this trap because they have been conditioned to seek validation from the world around them. From childhood, many have been praised for doing well in school, excelling in sports, or achieving recognition. This external validation creates a dangerous pattern where they begin to tie their sense of self-worth to how well they perform in various aspects of life. Over time, the need for external approval becomes an addiction. It's no longer about personal satisfaction or growth. It's about the external rewards, praise, recognition, status that make them feel seen, valued, and validated. And if this success empowerment story determines whether or not you achieve that external goal, you will most likely fall short to attain the internal goal as well. The overachiever's trap feeds on the need for perfection. These individuals often believe that anything less than perfection is failure. Whether it's a project at work, a personal goal, or an aspect of their appearance, they strive to meet impossibly high standards, often at the expense of their well-being. This relentless pursuit of perfection creates a feeling of being perpetually dissatisfied. Even when they reach the goals they've set, there's an immediate desire for the next one, the next challenge, or the next form of validation. The cycle becomes self-perpetuating. The moment one achievement is checked off, another is already on the horizon. And so the sense of accomplishment is always fleeting. What overachievers often fail to recognize is that this constant striving comes with a heavy emotional cost. The pursuit of external success, when not grounded in a deeper sense of purpose or personal fulfillment, leaves individuals feeling exhausted, anxious, and disconnected. The focus on doing more, being more, and achieving more causes them to neglect other aspects of their lives. Relationships can suffer as they prioritize work and accomplishments over spending quality time with loved ones. Mental and physical health can deteriorate when self-care becomes an afterthought, buried under a mountain of responsibilities. The overachiever is so consumed with the idea of more that they forget to appreciate the present moment, the journey, and the small victories along the way. The trap creates an insidious form of comparison. Overachievers often measure their success against others, constantly gauging their progress relative to those around them. This comparison can lead to feelings of inadequacy even when they're achieving at a high level. It's easy for them to overlook their own progress when they're too focused on the achievements of others. The external validation they seek becomes more about outpacing others rather than about personal growth or satisfaction. The overachiever's trap can feel rewarding in the short term, especially when the accolades and praise come pouring in. But over time, this need for constant external approval becomes unsustainable and detrimental. The drive to succeed, if unchecked, can erode one's sense of identity, leaving a person wondering who they are when they are not defined by their achievements. When the ultimate goal is always more, there is little room for true contentment, self-compassion, or the recognition that sometimes enough is enough. I got a call from a local financial advisor recently, and he gave me this 4-page piece of paper that was amazing. He wrote, "Number 1, I don't live on self-compassion. This is such a difficult. The power of self-worth is the foundation upon which a healthy, fulfilling life is built. It is the internal sense of value that exists within each person, independent of external achievements, accolades, or the opinions of others. When individuals cultivate a strong sense of self-worth, they are less likely to be swayed by the fluctuations of success and failure. Their sense of identity is not tethered to their accomplishments or others' perceptions, but is rooted in a deep, unwavering belief in their intrinsic value. Unfortunately, many people spend years, if not their entire lives, searching for validation from outside sources, believing that their worth is something to be earned or proven. The truth, however, is that worth is not something we acquire, it is something we recognize within ourselves. So, Self-worth is a powerful force because it serves as a compass, guiding us through life's challenges and opportunities with confidence and clarity. When we recognize our own value, we stop measuring ourselves against others, we stop seeking approval from the outside world, and begin to trust our own judgment and instincts. This internal validation provides a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. When we understand our worth, we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves through relentless achievement or comparison. We become more comfortable in our own skin, embracing both our strengths and our imperfections without judgment. The strength that comes from recognizing your self-worth has the power to transform every area of your life. It shifts how you show up in relationships, work, and personal endeavors. In relationships, for example, when you know your worth, you set healthy boundaries and refuse to accept treatment that does not align with your value. You stop sacrificing your needs or tolerating disrespect in order to gain affection or approval. Instead, you form connections based on mutual respect and shared values. In the workplace, knowing your worth means you are not afraid to advocate for yourself, to negotiate for what you deserve, and to make decisions that align with your personal and professional growth rather than fearing failure or rejection. Self-worth also plays a crucial role in how we handle setbacks and adversity. Life is filled with challenges, and the path to success is rarely linear. But when you possess a deep sense of your own value, you are better equipped to bounce back from failure. Rather than seeing a mistake as a reflection of your inadequacy, you understand that it is simply a part of the learning process. Self-worth allows you to separate who you are from what you do, meaning that when you face adversity, you can approach it with resilience, knowing that your worth remains unchanged by the outcome. Self-worth nurtures self-compassion. It enables you to treat yourself with kindness and patience, especially in times of struggle. Instead of being your own harshest critic, you become your own greatest supporter. You understand that perfection is not the goal, but growth, learning, and embracing your unique journey. When you value yourself, you are more likely to take care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being because you believe that you deserve to be nourished and supported. The power of self-worth is not about arrogance or superiority. It is about acknowledging your inherent value and treating yourself with the love, respect, and care that you deserve. It is a quiet confidence that comes from within, untouchable by the opinions or judgments of others. When we embrace our self-worth, we free ourselves from the constant pursuit of external validation and the stress of trying to prove our value. We stand firm in the knowledge that we are enough exactly as we are, and that is where true power lies. The myth of perfection is a pervasive belief that has shaped the way many people approach their lives, their work, and their relationships. It is the idea that in order to be worthy, to be loved, or to be successful, one must be flawless. Perfectionism can manifest in a variety of ways: the pursuit of an immaculate appearance, the drive to achieve flawless results at work, or the expectation that relationships should be ideal without any conflict or imperfection. The pressure to attain perfection is not only exhausting, but it also sets individuals up for disappointment and frustration, as perfection is not something that can be realistically achieved. At the core of the myth of perfection is the belief that being less than perfect equates to being inadequate. This belief often stems from early life experiences or societal messages that equate success with flawlessness. From childhood, many are taught to avoid mistakes and to perform to the highest standard in everything they do. The problem with this mindset is that it creates a constant sense of inadequacy, as mistakes are an inevitable part of being human. When we attach our sense of self-worth to the idea of perfection, we begin to believe that anything less than perfection is a failure, a concept that is both unrealistic and damaging. The pursuit of perfection often comes at the expense of progress. When we focus too much on getting everything just right, we become paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. This fear of imperfection leads to procrastination, as we wait for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions before taking action. In many cases, the desire to be perfect holds us back from trying new things, taking risks, or stepping outside of our comfort zones. Instead of growing and learning through experience, we become trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, perfectionism, and inaction. The pursuit of perfection can also drain our energy and creativity as we become fixated on the end result rather than the process itself. The myth of perfection is also harmful because it breeds comparison. In a world where social media and public personas dominate, it is easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others who seem to have it all together. People often present their best selves online, showcasing their accomplishments, relationships, and successes. This curated image of perfection can create unrealistic expectations and foster feelings of inadequacy. The reality is that everyone has flaws, struggles, and imperfections that are not always visible. When we compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, we set ourselves up for feelings of failure and self-doubt. The myth of perfection can hinder personal and professional growth. If we are constantly focused on achieving perfection, we may be unwilling to take feedback or embrace constructive criticism. Perfectionists often have difficulty accepting that they are not always right or that their work may not always be perfect. This creates a stagnant environment where improvement and innovation are stifled in favor of maintaining an idealized image. Embracing imperfection, on the other hand, allows for greater creativity, flexibility, and the ability to learn from mistakes, which ultimately leads to growth. In relationships, the myth of perfection can create unrealistic expectations. We may expect others to behave in ways that align with our idealized vision of how they should be, which can lead to dissatisfaction and disappointment. When we hold ourselves to an impossible standard, we also hold others to the same standard, which can create tension and conflict. Relationships thrive on authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance, not on the unattainable notion of perfection. The myth of perfection keeps us stuck in a cycle of self-criticism and unattainable standards. It undermines our confidence and prevents us from embracing our true selves. When we let go of the idea that we need to be perfect, we free ourselves to be authentic, to make mistakes, and to grow through our experiences. True success and fulfillment come not from perfection, but from the willingness to be imperfect, to embrace our flaws, and to learn from the journey. Embracing balance and self-compassion is a vital aspect of living a fulfilling and meaningful life. In a world that constantly demands more of us, more work, more achievement, more perfection, it's easy to lose sight of the importance of finding equilibrium and treating ourselves with kindness. Many people push themselves to the limit, striving for success at the expense of their physical and mental well-being. They are often driven by the desire to prove themselves, to meet others' expectations, or to fulfill the image of who they think they should be. This relentless drive can leave them feeling burnt out, disconnected, and emotionally drained. However, when we begin to embrace balance, we learn how to navigate life with a sense of harmony that nurtures every aspect of our being: our work, relationships, personal growth, and health. Balance does not mean that every part of our life will be perfectly equal, nor does it require us to divide our time and energy in rigid proportions. Instead, it involves a flexible, mindful approach to life where we prioritize what truly matters while allowing space for rest and renewal. Finding balance is about recognizing when one area of life has become overwhelming and needs to be adjusted. It's about creating boundaries so that work, family, and personal time do not overlap to the point of exhaustion. Balance is an ongoing process where we continually assess our needs and make adjustments accordingly. It's about making choices that align with our values and well-being rather than simply responding to external pressures or obligations. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is the practice of treating ourselves with the same care, understanding, and empathy that we offer to others. It is an essential part of embracing balance, because without self-compassion, we cannot find true peace. Many people are their own harshest critics, often holding themselves to unrealistic standards and beating themselves up when they fall short. This inner dialogue of self-judgment can be damaging, leading to feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and self-doubt. When we practice self-compassion, we acknowledge that we are human and that it's okay to make mistakes, to struggle, or to need rest. We treat ourselves with the same kindness that we would extend to a close friend, recognizing that we deserve care and support, especially in times of difficulty. One of the key components of self-compassion is forgiveness. When we embrace the idea that we are not perfect and that mistakes are part of the human experience, we can forgive ourselves more easily. Instead of ruminating on past failures or beating ourselves up for perceived shortcomings, we learn to let go and move forward. Self-compassion allows us to recognize that we are worthy of love and kindness, regardless of our mistakes or imperfections. This mindset shifts us from a place of self-criticism to one of self-acceptance and allows us to find peace in knowing that we are enough just as we are. When balance and self-compassion are embraced together, they create a foundation of inner peace that supports every part of our lives. We stop chasing external validation. As we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves to others, we begin to value ourselves not for what we do, but for who we are. This shift in perspective allows us to set healthy boundaries, pursue our goals with intention and purpose, and prioritize our well-being without guilt. We recognize that taking care of ourselves is not selfish, it is necessary for our long-term happiness and success. By embracing both balance and self-compassion, we can navigate life with a sense of ease, joy, and contentment, knowing that we are worthy of all the care, love, and success that we desire.